Hello everybody and welcome back to the CinePacks YouTube channel. Now it's been a moment since we've done a Davinci tutorial. However, CinePacks has just released an awesome new transition effects pack, which is the foreground effects pack. It's super sick. You can like go through walls with it, do awesome transitions, go under the ground. It comes with some other foreground transitions such as like newspaper flying in the air and like awesome silhouette transitions, and I'm going to be going over all of that in this video, Davinci Resolve. So let's go ahead and get started. Now we're going to be using the free pack today, which means you can get it for free. So head on over to the CinePacks website, find the free pack section. We are using the foreground sample effects pack today. And go ahead, put in your information, hit the download link, and you'll have all the files that we're using today. Now, once you have those files, go ahead and import them into Davinci Resolve as such. And you'll see that we have an awesome street effect here, which goes through the ground, and a wall effect here. These are both completely free. You can use them in any of your projects. And free of charge. You don't need anything else. You're all good. So what we're gonna do, let's go ahead and bring in our timeline here. I have some footage from the promo video for the pack, and I'm just gonna go ahead and drag these in. Let's keep this as simple as drag and drop as we can. So I have one clip here and one clip right here. So let's kind of zoom out, give me a little space here. Stretch this up here, and as you can see, if I play this through, I've dragged the wrong clip. We want this clip. And if I play this through, the camera goes into the wall right here. If you're recording any of these, I highly suggest you record the camera swinging into the wall. That's going to make it look much more believable and just increase your quality of work a ton. There's ways to fake it with motion blur and keyframing. I'm going to be showing you that in just a moment. But right now, let's focus on quality here. If you can get your cameraman, or you're in charge of any cinematography, make sure that they actually are coordinating some of their shots to swing around into the walls. So with these lined up, let's go ahead and go into our pack here and drag in our wall transition. So let's go ahead and play this through. As easy drag and drop as we can. Already doesn't look too bad, and we didn't even line that up that well, which is great. That shows you how easy it is to use. Now using the I don't know what you want to call them, the greater than and or less than the keyboard on your keyboard, whatever those are called, the little arrows, you can nudge your footage here to make it line up with the transition. So here's our wall. There's the wall right there. So I'm gonna line it up right there, and if I play this through, that looks much better than before. I like that. That looks great. Okay, and it even looks pretty good on this angle. Now, a little tip that I learned from Tyler in his video was to add a little time remapping, and I completely agree with this. That helps a lot. So right here, just to give it a little more velocity, a little more oomph, we want to basically add to the speed. That way it goes into the wall a little bit faster here. So right around here, let's go ahead, click Control R on your keyboard. That's going to pull up your time remapping controls, and click Add Speed Point. And as you can see, it adds a little speed point right there. So let's change the second half of our footage here and give it a speed boost of, let's say 150. All right. So with that in place, if we just play this through, you can see that now it has a little bit more speed to it. It's very subtle, but I think it adds to your movement a lot, and movement is everything, even no matter how subtle. So there we go. We got our first transition. It's looking pretty good, looking pretty great, but how can we up the quality? There's a little bit more that we can do. Right here, like for example, I think this could look a lot better if you were to hand animate and add a little bit of motion blur so that this clip here will actually slide with this wall. It would be cool if we animated that, because as you can see, the wall kind of overlaps and it goes into the wall like this. So let me show you how you can do that on another clip. You know, I love Davinci. Davinci is my best friend. I love him. I love him with all my heart. But just as equally, I hate him, okay? Because there is no easy way to do any motion blur or easy effects in the Edit tab, which means we have to go into the big old messy Fusion. So let's go ahead and do that. Come journey with me. Don't worry if you're not too familiar with Fusion. We'll work through it together, all right? So in order to start this off, let's go into our little timelines here, and let's make a new Fusion clip. So create new, where is it? Create new Fusion composition. We'll call this a transition, who cares about spelling? Now, what we're gonna do, let's drag this into our timeline here, and now we have our Fusion clip. So let's bring it into Fusion. Okay, so first thing that you ever want to do inside of Fusion is click on your media out, shift spacebar, and add a background. A background is basically just a solid generator of a color, but it establishes your background color, and also you can stretch it to whatever time frame that you need, which means if you ever need to extend your Fusion composition, you need a background node because you can extend it infinitely. While if you're relying on a clip or footage or something, if you try to extend that out past the actual duration of the footage, your Fusion composition is going to break. It won't function anymore. Fusion's fun like that. So we're going to use our background node. So let's go ahead and place this right here. And I always like to work with arrange tools to grid. That way everything snaps. And let's go ahead and start working here. So I have my background node here. I don't particularly like how this is merged. Basically, when you're using a merge node, remember that your green arrow is the foreground input and yellow is the background input. So that's not really hooked up correctly. So let's delete this. So with those deleted, go ahead and just drag this into our yellow node. That way we have a direct connection. And let's go ahead. We're going to need 3 merge nodes. So where are they? They're right here. So let's drag 1, 2, and 3. So as you can see, now we have our yellow node, so everything is hooked up correctly because now we have our green nodes are open, which is our foreground, which is going on top of the background. Okay, so let's go over to our footage, which is our stock footage, and this time we're going to be using this shot right here. Perfect. Let's just bring this in, and let's press 1 so you guys can view it. And as you can see, this is a fencing sort of shot here. And the thing is, it's on a tripod, so we're going to try to animate it because there is no swinging into the ground. We have to do it in post here. So let's press F2, name this clip 1. All right, then let's pull in another clip, which would be this one. And let's go ahead, we can press 1 to view it as well, and you can see we'll transition to this shot because it swings downwards. We'll go ahead and press F2 again, name this clip 2, and then on top of both those clips, we're going to want a transition, which is going to be our street transition. So bring those in and name this transition. All right, perfect. Now let's go ahead and connect them all into our merge nodes. Just like that, and they're all stacked on top of each other. And the first thing to note is that these 2 clips, or at least one of our clips, which is clip 2, is at a different, I believe it is at 4K. Okay, so that means it's not going to line up with our background because our background, if we go into our modifiers, if we go into our image settings, is set to 1920 by 1080. So let's add a resize node to all of these clips. So shift spacebar when you have each of those selected and click resize. And then just do that for all of them. Resize. Resize. All right, perfect. So now, as you can see, it resized them all to 1920 by 1080, which is the default for each resize node. Okay, so we're all set. Now that we have these all set up, let's go ahead and actually line them up. So open up our keyframe editor over here, and let's kind of go over here, just kind of stretch it right here, and let's find each of our clips. So clip 1, we're going to, am I viewing this properly? Yes. So clip 1, we'll kind of drag this over, whoa, not that much, just so we can kind of catch the tail end of it. Now right now, clip 2 is on top. So let's go find clip 2 as well, kind of drag these over. So like start it right there. This is kind of going to be my end point. So let me trim that down. This is where I want to start that clip. Then I have clip 1, which is going to be, let's see, if I clip 1, let's press 1 to view it, which will start right there. It doesn't really matter where we start clip 1. And then last of all, let's go down to our transition, which I don't know why it's not letting me scroll. I guess I'll just make this bigger. Go down to our transition node right here and drag these in between the 2. All right, perfect. So as you can see, if we play this through, now we have everything lined up, and our transition comes in, and then it transitions to our next clip, which, let's move this over because it's not quite lined up properly. All right, perfect. Okay, now that everything's lined up, what's all this fuss about? It's so that we can add a little bit of motion blur. All this is for just a little bit of motion blur here in our transition, which is clip 1. All right, so let's go ahead and move these over. In order to add motion blur, we're gonna have to add a transition node. Transform node, sorry, not transition. And go ahead and animate it. So right around here, we'll just add a keyframe. Make sure, let's just click full screen so we can kind of see. So here's our transition start. So let's start right around here and just keyframe the center of it. Let's also sort of zoom in. Let's see, where's our zoom? Is there, oh, size right there. So let's zoom in and give us a little bit of working room. That way it'll look more natural when we animate this transition sliding into the floor. So right there, and then let's go into our transition, and right around, where does the transition start? It starts right here. So let's add another keyframe just for the sake of consistency. Drag this up, and right around there, we will now animate this to slide all the way up into the ceiling. So if we go ahead and play this back now, look at that. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty clean. Play that, looks nice. All right. Now the only problem with this is that the animation is super janky. Look how unnatural it is. So on our first keyframe here, click on that, right click, and click smooth. And as soon as we smooth it, it's gonna look a lot better than before. The movement is a lot better. Now, let's add our motion blur, which is the final thing that we want to add. Click on your modifiers, go to settings on the transform node, and click motion blur. Bring up the quality a decent amount, let's say like 7. And if we go through this frame by frame, there we go. We got some decent motion blur right there. And our transition is complete. Perfect. All right, so let's go back over to our edit page and take a look at our full completed transition. And there we go, we got our full completed transition, and it's completely animated. So, you know, we got motion blur in there, and the tripod wasn't even moving. So we made it work, we made it look good, and it doesn't look half bad. I really like how it came out. So basically that's what you can do with the free versions, 2 clips. You can mess around, do whatever you want. However, let's look at the full pack. It's currently on sale right now, so go ahead and take a look at it if you want. If you're looking at this video during the opening week of the pack. It's also Black Friday is coming up, so you know, keep a good eye out for deals, but I highly recommend checking it out. So this comes with a lot more variety of transitions. As you can see, you got more like brick walls transitions, concrete, and you can see there's plenty to mess with right here. There's even some like elevator transitions, so basically you can have a fun one where it goes into an elevator and then goes through the elevator. Really cool for like music videos and stuff like that. It's also got some cool object transitions, so we got like cars sliding in front of the camera. You can make a cool transition like that. Trash, trees. We pull these together. You can see there's like going through like a tree branch, tree bark, going through a park, something like that. There's a lot of cool street stuff, so like cones, gates, which are cool, very usable. I really liked, there's a newspaper somewhere that happens to work, and which is cool. I'll go over that in a moment. And some silhouette packs. So if you're like doing kind of which is super easy to see because Davinci shows transparent footage on a black screen. So let's go ahead and we can like drag these in right here. And as you can see, there's like some cool silhouettes of people that you can make a transition out of. And then there's more going through the walls, but this one's like going through the ground. So this is like underground transitions. There's the one that we were just using in the free pack. And here's some like cool vents with like wires and stuff. It looks super sick, and it looks neat. So like just a little example of like some creativity here. As you can see, here's a newspaper blowing through the wind, and I really like this transition. So if I were to like drag this in, what looks super cool, personally what I like is I can drag this clip in here, and I could crop the top and the bottom of this clip. And if I put the newspaper transition on top of it, it will look, you get this really cool 3D effect as it overlaps with the black bar. Look at that, it looks pretty sick. I love that. That's a really cool just 3D effect right there. I really enjoy that a lot. Let's go ahead and find one of our silhouettes. I'd like to find sort of a party scene here, which would be like right. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Let's make that work. Pull this guy in. Also change this silhouette to fill. That way we don't have any black bars with him either. Perfect. Okay, and let's find a clip to transition to, which would be in our stock footage here, right here. All right, perfect. Okay, so we have a good setup for a transition here, but what we'd like to do is maybe mask it out. That way you have a mask between him that separates the two clips. Now, like I just said, you have to usually go into Fusion for that, but why don't we kind of cheat? I want to show you just a little bit of a way where you can kind of speed things up, and if you need to do something fast, let's go ahead and use Davinci's cropping feature to get around this so we don't have to use Fusion. So let's go ahead and stretch out our top clip here, and we will animate our top clip. So right here, what I'm gonna do is as this guy walks through, I'm going to grab our top clip that I just put here, and I'm going to keyframe the cropping dynamics in the inspector tab. And I'm gonna go over to our crop left and drag this over so it lines up with our silhouette. And I'll just bring up the softness. And let me unkeyframe that. That way there's no keyframes that are messing with the softness. So there, if I put that there, and then we go ahead, we'll go a few more frames, and then bring our crop over so it lines up with him, a few more, and then animate that out. Go the other direction, so as he's going forward, we can bring this over, go a little bit more, right there. We have a transition. So if I play that through, now we have an animated swipe that's going with the person, and there you go. It looks seamless. You can't even tell that we didn't have to use a mask. We didn't have to do anything fast or any sort of drawing of anything. All we did was use a cropping tool. And that kind of wraps up our overview of the pack today. So make sure if you do want to get this pack, use code SAMPLE15. That'll give you 15% off your order on the website. Keep your eye out for some more tutorials coming out. We've also been working on an awesome podcast. The CinePacks podcast is back. So Tyler's been working on that. He's got some awesome interviews. So definitely go look that up, check that out, and be on the lookout for more packs drop soon. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.